Hi everyone, and a warm welcome to this week's episode of Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm Jed Brown, your host for this week's episode, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Ryan Maley, who's the editor-in-chief of our very own Low Season Traveller magazine. In this episode, I caught up with Ryan to find out a little more about the stories and features which readers can enjoy in this latest version of the magazine, and also gain a little insight into how the stories and features came about. We're talking about Madrid, Ethiopia, Cambodia, Barbados, Sifnos, cultural heritage, and much, much more besides. Enjoy. So Ryan, welcome to the Low Season Traveller Insider Guides podcast. I think we're on series 4 or something now because we haven't released a podcast for a couple of weeks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Good to after listening to lots of the podcasts, good to finally be on one.
Yes, I can't believe it's taken us this long to have you as a guest. Obviously, you are the editor of Low Season Traveller magazine, the editor-in-chief. I should give you your full title.
Absolutely, very proud
Absolutely. And of course, the reason that we wanted to get you on, and we should make this a regular thing, I think, Ryan, is because we've got a brand new issue of Low Season Traveller magazine. It's just released, issue 5 we're up to now, right?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a beautiful cover on the magazine. It's a beautiful magazine anyway. But we just thought it'd be good to get you on to let our listeners know what they can expect from this edition of the magazine. And I suppose starting off with the cover, it's a beautiful image of the cover. What's that an image of?
So it's Ethiopia, it's Lalibela, which we feature both in our sort of culture and heritage section, but we've also got a big feature on Ethiopia as well, which is, I'm really happy with, really proud that we can include that. There's some really good information in there on why tourism in Ethiopia is really important. All the things obviously you can do in the low season. I think some really good practical information as well. So hiring guides, dress codes, things like that. But there's so much to do, and it's been great for me to learn a little bit about Ethiopia as well. And it's definitely one of them destinations that's moving up the list of a growing list of places that we need to visit.
It's somewhere I haven't been either. And it's one of those ones where it's kind of interesting to me because we don't necessarily, when we think of the African continent from a traveller perspective, we don't automatically think of destinations like Ethiopia.
No.
And actually, through reading the article, it's like, oh my God, that would be an amazing destination to visit. I really get it now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the cover looks fantastic. It's one of the amazing sort of rock-hewn monoliths that exist there, and it's really important for sort of Orthodox Ethiopian Christians, and it's a really important site to visit. Yeah, it looks fantastic on the cover as well.
It really does. It really does. In terms of the featured destinations for this edition, what else have we got? Obviously, we've got Ethiopia. What else have we got for the featured destinations?
Yeah, so we've got some really good destinations this time. We've got Cambodia, Dubai, Madrid, Ethiopia, obviously, and then Barbados and Oaxaca. So all destinations that sort of have the low season over our traditional summer period, and some really good examples of places that you can travel to for that low season summer. Cambodia, for example, just really interesting place. Its low season is a couple of hours of rain, and that's the big issue of why people don't visit. But there's so much stuff. It makes the sort of destination so lush and so green and freshens everything up, and it's a really good time to visit. And obviously you've got all the temples of Angkor and Angkor Wat, but without the crowds. And this, people see Angkor Wat and think that's the one, but there's actually over 150 square miles of ruins. And if you're queuing all day to visit the most famous in the peak summer season, then you don't get to explore all of the rest of it. So low season, definitely a way to go in Cambodia.
A lot of people don't realize that it is a massive complex. It's not just that one image that we always see. And I think it's a really good point on the low season. I've seen images in the past of Angkor Wat in the peak season, and the crowds are just absolutely awful.
You can't even see it. You can't see the amount of people that are there. It's crazy.
Yeah, you need to bring a ladder with you to take a picture. Get the heads of everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Cambodia is great, and obviously we've got Siem Reap and Phnom Penh, the capital, waterfront, the palaces, really, really good cuisine and things that you can try. For tarantulas, if you're that way inclined and that brave, but that's in there.
Not for me, I don't think. Although arguably, I'd rather one. Is it an awful thing to say? I'd rather one dead than.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean all.
Yeah. And of course, but a lot of people forget on Cambodia as well that, we're so used to seeing, Siem Reap and Angkor Wat and all these kind of places. We forget there are some stunning beach destinations in Cambodia. And we automatically think of Southeast Asia as, we think Thailand and the Thai beaches more. But Cambodia's got some phenomenal beaches as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is it somewhere that you've been, Jed? Or?
I haven't been. No,
No, me neither.
It's another one on the list, Ryan,
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we've got some information in there on, taking a sunset cruise and guided by tuk-tuks and things like that. So yeah, it's a really great practical article on Cambodia.
Lovely. And then we've got Madrid. So it's unusual to have a European destination have its low season in our summer here in the UK. What's the experience like in Madrid? Have you been to Madrid in the summer?
I've been very, very late summer, sort of late August, early September. I think just with the heat in Madrid, I think is why it's sort of that low season in August. But I think typically in the past, people think of Madrid as completely empty in August, which it used to. It used to be a bit of a ghost town. People used to go out to the coasts, and I've got family who live on sort of the southern coast of Spain, and that month of August is just absolutely packed with people that have come from inland. But I think more these days, with more tourism, it doesn't empty in that way. So you can still have the same experience that you get for the rest of the year. But yeah, it's very warm, I think is the thing to remember. But yeah, it doesn't empty anymore. The sort of gastronomy in Madrid is amazing. So there's some really good examples of things you can eat. Churros, obviously, is something to try.
That's wonderful, isn't it? I went for the first time to Madrid only relatively recently, a couple of years ago. And I hadn't been aware of this chocolate con churros tradition. And there's some great places there to have it. But for those of our listeners that aren't aware, it's one of these famous things that you do in Madrid. And they have these churros, which we're all kind of familiar with, and you dunk them in. It's not drinking chocolate. It's thicker, isn't it?
It's very thick, yeah.
Like a chocolate custard or something almost, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good. I'm very Moorish as well. It's very easy to keep eating.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of green spaces and sort of lots of things to do inside, lots of art and museums that you can do to sort of escape that heat, especially in the middle of the day. But it is a fantastic place to visit.
Yeah, love it. And it's easy to get to as well from if anybody's listening and they're based in the UK or Ireland, very easy to get there. And it's the kind of thing you can do for a good long weekend or something like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's really easy. Flights tend to be fairly reasonable as well. So yeah, it's definitely one to recommend.
And one that I was really pleased to see on there was Barbados for a couple of reasons. First of all, I went to Barbados in the low season last year at the end of June, and I was blown away by what an amazingly great experience it was. Because again, it was another one where I think it's linked to the rainfall and perceived threat of hurricanes, which my understanding is that Barbados, I think it mentions it in the article, strictly speaking, it's not a Caribbean island. It's actually an Atlantic island. It's slightly sort of out of the way, but it's outside of the main hurricane belt. So they tend not to get affected by it. But I was there for a week and a half. Again, I saw a bit of rain, but it was mainly in the evenings for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. But the rest of the time during the day, it was just fabulous, but without the crowds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the low season there, you get 1 hour less sunshine than in the peak season. So if you can deal with that for the reduction in price and the more that you can get from the local communities in the low season, I think it's absolutely worth it. And I think something that's come out of the article, and definitely from speaking to you about Barbados, is the friendliness of the locals. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because they sound incredible. Oh,
they are so warm and friendly, and they're so welcoming, and it's that sort of ethos of wanting to really show off their island, and they want you to appreciate their island, I suppose, as much as they do. And it was interesting when I was I sort of travelled around the island. I was a guest of at the time the Barbados Tourism Authority, and we toured around. And I went to they said, "Oh, you must meet Hammy, this guy Hamilton, who runs Hamilton's Pottery, which is very famous in Barbados." And I was having a chat to Hammy, and he was showing me how he works the clay, and he only uses the traditional Bajan clay and all of that kind of stuff. fabulous, lovely guy, but so welcoming and so, it's no problem, come on in and see. Again, would he have had as much time for me outside of the low season? Possibly not. But overall, I just remember thinking, I can't imagine how the experience would be better in the peak season, which I guess is kind of January, February, kind of March time. But no, the warmth of the people, the food, phenomenal. If you like seafood as well. Overall, just an amazing experience. And the prices are way lower than the peak season. And what was also interesting, actually, should point out as well for our listeners on that, there are some amazing eating establishments in Barbados. And in the peak season, so we went to a few of them because Barbados Tourism, obviously, we were their guests. So they got us places at a variety of these eateries, which are amazing. And what they were saying in each case, I spoke to the restaurant manager, and they were saying in the winter for Europe, so sort of January, February, March time, their peak season, you wouldn't be able to get a reservation for up to 2-3 weeks. If anybody wanted to eat in any of these restaurants, the famous ones, La Cabane and others, they would need to book it well before they even arrive in Barbados. That's just crazy. We were there, and you could book on the day. It was no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, I think so many people miss that as well. If we don't typically think that we need to book places before we even go just for reservations to eat. So yeah, people miss these amazing places in the peak season just because, it's just so overcrowded. And I think as well, especially Bridgetown, there's so much. You think of Barbados as beach, sitting on the beach, sitting in the sun, great, but there's so much culture there as well, and there's so many attractions and things to see and do that it's not just a beach getaway. There's so much more that you can do there.
There definitely is. We also have an article exploring the gifts of low season photography. That was a great one. Tell us a little bit more about what we can expect in that.
Yeah, so Anna and Simon from a photography community called XCO, they've set up this community of a fairer way of working with photographers and people that use images and doing it in a much fairer way. It's based in New Zealand, and they've got some fantastic photography on that platform. So I definitely recommend people to check that out. We've worked with them to do a bit of a feature on low season photography and why low season photography is so important, why that time of year in certain destinations can really enhance the photography that you take. And there's some examples of their low season photography in there, which is great, but it's all about, slowing down, capturing the essence of a location, not having everything look so busy and so frantic, but actually, the more relaxed, having more perspectives to take your shots from, having more time to visit other places that are off the beaten track. So some really good information in there that's sort of reinforces that low season message and why it's so important and why it's so good for photographers and for just capturing those travel memories.
Yeah, and they're beautiful images. There's some great examples of images there in the magazine as well. And I love the fact that they're so authentic. And I love as the guys sort of describe how you can get more natural everyday experiences in the low season because there's less of the tourists around. So you're getting more of what the real life looks like. And some of those images, there was one, I think it was in Incheon Airport in Seoul. That was a beautiful image. Beautiful.
Yeah.
But there's so many. And I think it's important. You were saying about the plight of, what XCO are doing is making, they're making the whole sort of photography side of things a little bit fairer. And I think for those of the listeners out there that aren't aware of how it works, certain other platforms where people can purchase photographs, the photographers don't actually do too well out of it. And what XCO are trying to do is to create a platform where the photographers, who of course own the rights to the images, they're more fairly compensated for their images. And I think that's a really worthwhile and worthy project for them to be working on. And like you said, Ryan, I think it's great that we're working with those guys as well, because, it feels like the right thing to do. And that's what we're always trying to do, obviously, a low season travel is we just want to do the right thing as best we can. And it's a great partnership. We've also got a great article on family getaways in Sifnos. Tell us a little bit about Sifnos in Greece then. I hadn't heard of it before.
Yeah, so it's a lot lesser known island, and we had a contribution from Rania Margari, who recently travelled to Sifnos with a family and realised how good of a destination it was among the Greek islands for a family getaway. especially in the low season. It's very quiet. It's only accessible at the moment by ferry, which, so it keeps it a little bit quieter compared to some of the more well-known Greek islands. But yeah, it's a fantastic place, really nice beach destination, but also, lots to do. Again, like we spoke before, ceramics is a really big thing there. So there's lots of cool hands-on things that you can do to learn about sort of the local culture. Food and drink, as many places in Greece, is fantastic. So there's lots of really good information in there about some of the best places that you can eat. But yeah, it's a really, really nice article, just, on a place that most people won't know about, which is cool. Yeah, again, very important for what we do is showcasing these, I guess, sister destinations, so the more popular ones, and making sure that people can, that rely on tourism and making sure that people know about them, are aware of them, and get inspired to go and visit. So there's some great stuff in there about the local villages, all the churches, the gastronomy. Some of the experiences hiking is really good there, and obviously in the low season it's a little bit cooler, so it's more practical to do that. And then lots of food and drink options as well.
Yeah, it looks a wonderful destination. Like I say, and again, it's the right thing to do to try and encourage people to experience destinations that they might not have heard as much about. Obviously, everyone's heard of Greece, but they might not have heard of Sifnos, and for them to be educated that there are these different kind of islands that still. They need the economic lift from tourism, and they've got a great tourism product. They've got incredible culture and heritage as well that people can see for themselves. And on the subject of cultural heritage, we have our regular piece on cultural heritage. What kind of destinations are we featuring on there?
Yes, we've got some really, really interesting places. As mentioned before, we've got Ethiopia in there. We've also got China, the Leshan giant Buddha in China, which is
colossal,
just incredible. Yeah, it's an incredible piece of work. We also featured Turkey as well, Easter Island, and Hampi in India. So there's some. I don't want to ruin too much of those, but there's some really, really amazing places to discover, and it just. I don't know. It always blows me away when I see places like this. I think that it's just incredible.
It makes you realise that there's so much about our history that we don't understand. And the images, Ryan, I've got to say, the images are absolutely amazing. That one of Rapa Nui, also known as Easter Island in Chile, that's an incredible image. I mean, those statues blow me away. I hadn't realised that they go.
Yeah, I saw something about that recently. Yeah, they've dug down. You can, it's so much bigger than what you can actually see.
A statue, you just see the head, and then you start thinking, gosh, I wonder how long they've been there.
Yeah.
Göbekli Tepe as well is somewhere which has always fascinated me since. Was it Graham Hancock? Are you familiar with Graham Hancock?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, right. We'll have a slight. I'll have to go on one here just because our listeners might be interested as well. He's the one that introduced me to Göbekli Tepe. But Göbekli Tepe was only discovered in the late 80s, and it's been dated at something like, don't quote me on this, I think it's about 200,000 years old. It might actually say in our article. Over 11,000 years old. So, it predates Stonehenge and everything else. But they believe that it could be even older. And they believe that it dates back to a time when, up until we discovered Göbekli Tepe, we thought it was just hunter-gatherers. And Göbekli Tepe is a huge, huge site. And we've only uncovered about 10% of it at the moment. And what's clear is that, it's evidence of a relatively advanced civilization. And possibly the oldest known on Earth so far. And it seems to be breaking the mold as to what we understood about certainly about that particular period in history, but absolutely fascinating. And if anybody wants to learn more about that, you can search out for Graham Hancock's work on this stuff. He also did a documentary on Netflix called Ancient Apocalypse, and Göbekli Tepe features on there as well. And it's fascinating stuff. It opens up a lot of questions, and it's very revealing. But I won't give too much about away that. But Ryan, I would recommend have a watch of that Ancient Apocalypse. It's very
definitely. That's I'll definitely do that. But it's just some incredible place. Like I said, just blows the mind of how we're still learning things now of our history is incredible, but exciting as well.
It is, yeah, absolutely, very much exciting. We've got our usual best stays, and there's some great places to stay in this edition as well. Any highlights for you in there?
I mean, all of them. Could I say all of them?
Oh, amazing.
I think they all look incredible. We've got a couple of from Cambodia there, which, looking with the article that we've got earlier on in the edition, I think, inspires me even more to want to go and stay and experience that culture. But yeah, there's some amazing. We've got the Maldives in there. We've got Bali, Bhutan, Kenya. Too many to pick a favorite, I think.
Too many to pick out. I will say, I'll throw a couple out. Embu River Camp in Kenya. That place is incredible. Their green credentials are literally they're something else. But they're the first ones that I'd heard of that do EV vehicle on their safaris. And if anybody out there has done have you done a safari experience?
Not no.
When you're in a safari, they're all most of them throughout Africa are 4x4s and the big diesel trucks. And as you're driving, you don't hear the sounds of nature; you just hear the sounds of the engine. And it's only when you're walking, and it's not many safari experiences where you're walking for obvious safety reasons. But it's only when you're walking or when the vehicle stops that you really feel like, okay, I'm in nature. You hear the different sounds, you hear everything else. And of course, the loud vehicles tend to put off the wildlife as well. These guys have got EV vehicles, and they were just saying that the uniqueness of this is that the guests can actually hear nature as they're driving along. And also it doesn't scare the animals. So not only is it better for the environment, but it's a better experience for the visitor as well. So Embu River Lodge is a great one, and there's some lovely photos in there of that one. The other one, 5 Elements Retreat in Bali. I haven't been there. I was in Bali last week, and unfortunately I didn't get the chance to get to Ubud. But that place is very, very special and worth a look as well. But like you say, any one of those places, I would quite happily be a guest in. Happy.
Absolutely, yeah. And big thanks to the Climate Friendly Travel Club as well, who've helped us pull those amazing places together. So, some really good examples there.
And then we also have a special article which was done by Claire French, she's obviously one of our main contributors. Claire's a brilliant writer, and she's written a lot of articles on the website. But she had the pain of enduring 9 consecutive days of massage, which she's written about as well.
The things you have to do, eh?
I know, but that's a great article as well, isn't it? Is it something, after you read that, is it something that you'd like to try yourself, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds amazing. I've only recently actually been introduced to the world of spas. Done my first spa a few months ago, and incredible. But that 9 days of a spa and just the relaxation, and it's a really interesting article. I think Claire sort of mentions how a little bit nervous going into it, or a little bit apprehensive, and I think, as you read through the different days and the things that she's been involved in, how it changed her and how not only physically but sort of changed her perspective on things, I think is really interesting. But it's a great article and definitely something that I'd be interested in doing. So 9 days of massage in Kerala, India, and the people that she met along the way and the people who worked there are amazing. I think it all sounds really good.
It definitely does. It was interesting, actually. We had a podcast I think it was in August, with Sonal Uberoy, who specializes in wellness, travel and everything else. And it was like Sonal was sort of saying, as you were saying then that you'd had your first spa recently, my immediate instinct was like, ooh, he's having a spa. But there's almost like a bit of a stigma attached to it. Like, oh, it's such an indulgence. Like, I really like myself. I'm having a spa because I'm worth it and all this. And what Sonal was sort of saying is that it was interesting that the younger generation, they tend to view that whole wellness as, well, that's, why wouldn't you do wellness, practice wellness on yourself? Why wouldn't you have the odd massage if it's going to help you mentally as well as physically feel better and be a better version of you? Why wouldn't you do that? And that whole ethos of a spa and wellness break being, just for the preserve of the relatively well-to-do and everything else, that seems to be going out the window now. And I would kind of celebrate that. I'd definitely be more inclined to take spa breaks and such like. And of course, great time to take a spa break in the low season because it's not weather dependent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that whole, like I said, the whole wellness and mental health is, the fact that becoming more talks about things like this can become, I guess, more normalized. Whereas, it's like you said, it's not, and it's so strange that just something that's such a nice experience, mentally, physically, has that stigma attached to it. But I do think that's changing. I think it's really important too.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So that's issue 5, which is out now. It's out on digital copy where you can go on lowseasontraveler.com/magazine and you can find the latest edition there. You can also print off copies. And in 2024, we're going to be doing more printed copies because the hard copies are just beautiful, Ryan, aren't they?
Oh, they're incredible. Yeah, we got them through a couple of weeks back now. And yeah, to have that physical copy and to flick through it, I think is amazing. I think the design and the photography in there absolutely stacks up against any other magazines that you read. I think, yeah, it's an amazing product. It really is.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Is there any tidbits you can give us? You're obviously starting work now on issue 6. Is there any hints or tips you can give us as to what might be coming up?
Absolutely. I don't want to give too much away, but we've got some really exciting featured destinations, places in the US. We've got Africa. We've got a nice piece on Cuba, and hopefully looking at Hemingway's Cuba as well, which will be interesting. We've got a piece on low season Paris, which is a bit of a different one, but I think is a really interesting one. So it's from a friend of mine, Simon, who's recently visited there very last minute. So yeah, a little bit about how he ended up there and no expectations, but the experience that he had was really good. So yeah, we've got a few really exciting pieces coming up.
Nice one. Well, we're looking forward to that. That's due to drop approximately when?
November. End of November, yeah.
Super. Looking forward to that. We are pretty much out of time. Have you got any travels planned?
Yeah, I've got a few coming up in a few weeks. So heading over to A Coruña in northern Spain for a few days, which will be very interesting. Yeah, big love for Spain, but it's not somewhere that I've travelled that much in the north. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Then heading there to Whitby, family holiday every year, every October. We go to Whitby, and I could do a full podcast on Whitby. It's one of my favourite places in the world.
We should do that because
I'd love to.
I've never been to Whitby. My wife's been. Whitby, it looks, I've seen pictures and I've heard people talking about it, and the people that have been just say it's a really special place. More than people realise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously it's got that extra attraction for me because it's something that we've always done as a family, so we've got the memories attached to it. But yeah, I just absolutely love it. There's so much to do. There's lovely walks that you can do, beautiful little villages that are just outside Whitby that we always stay. So we always stay in Hazelby, which is just a tiny little village, one pub, and it's just great. I love the place. But then in the centre of Whitby, there's so much to do. It's got a lot. It's got obviously the very picturesque British seaside, fish and chips and seagulls, but yeah, there's lots of culture and lots of things to do there. So yeah, heading to Whitby for a few days and then off to very northern Norway very early November. So looking forward to that. Hopefully seeing the Northern Lights for the first time. So yeah,
is that up to Tromsø?
Up to Tromsø, yeah. So I've never been before, but yeah, it should be really cool. So going and celebrating a birthday up there should be nice.
Very good. Well, listen, looking forward to hearing all about that. Obviously, we'll get another podcast round about the end of November for the launch of the next edition. But yeah, safe travels. Enjoy it all. All sounds absolutely fabulous. Living life to the full, Ryan. Good man.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Really enjoyed doing this.
No worries. Thanks to you, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers, Jed.
So there you have it. The latest edition of the magazine is available now in hard and electronic copies on lowseasontraveler.com/magazine, and I'm sure you'll agree it's a wonderful edition. Huge thanks to Ryan for sharing his expertise and insights with us today. And if there are any destinations which you'd like us to cover for future editions, please reach out to Ryan directly at ryan@lowseasontraveler.com. But that's our show for this week. Thanks as always for your company, and if you enjoyed this podcast, please do leave us a positive rating and review on your podcast app, and also don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn to be the first to hear our latest low season stories, articles and guides. Have a great week wherever you are, and remember that travel is always better and fairer for the planet, the local communities and you the travellers, when it's without the crowds.